So for paddles, if you look on the calendar on the website, we got the Cumberland trip coming up in early November. And then there's a Halloween paddle, so you can decorate your boat for that one. And then coming up is Ginger's Blackwater Rendezvous, which kind of leads into tonight's topic here on the Roanoke River and Blackwater paddling. So if you'll join in and welcome Ginger here.
Okay, so I took a trip in May, a 3-day weekend on the Roanoke River into the swamps, camped 2 nights on one of the platforms, and 2 of the people who were on the trip are my canoe partner, Kathy. Would you put your hand up, Kathy? There you go. And my next door neighbor, Margie. And Margie's husband, Bruce, was the photographer, and he's not here tonight. But, so my first question is, would you put your hand up if you have ever camped on a platform in the North Carolina swamp or the Everglades or anywhere?
Ever have.
Ever have. Okay, that's a quarter of the people here. And I've camped with Anita and Deborah on a platform on the Kashai River and Camille. So my goal tonight is to convince the rest of you that this is really an incredibly fun thing to do, and that swamps are not forbidding, but they're really beautiful, full of life, full of birds. Great. So this is a map that I use for navigation, and we launched for our trip. Boat ramp is, here's the town of Janesville, North Carolina. This is the lower Roanoke, the swampy part. From Williamston, 30 miles down to the Albemarle Sound, that's the lower Roanoke. There are 10 camping platforms in the lower Roanoke. This is a new ramp up here. It's a wildlife ramp. Before, you had to launch in town on this incredibly dangerous little ramp that was like a ski jump going down to the water. So we launched here and we paddled downstream, and then we went in on this creek to where the platform is. And then when we finally came out on Sunday, we went to this creek and came out to the Roanoke and paddled back down. So the cool thing about this is you can do a circle. All of these, the Roanoke River in the swampy part has these big arcs. And all of these arcs are cut across by creeks that are called guts. And as long as those creeks are open and don't have a lot of deadfall in them, you can cut across. So this is a route that lots of people take who camp on Cypress Cathedral or Three Sisters, another platform. And it worked. So in our slides, you're going to see a lot of canoes, and I realize this is the Carolina Kayak Club. But everything that we did in canoes, you can do in kayaks. You just can't take as much. So we had all the luxuries piled in our canoes.
And can you, what's the name of that little town or little place where you put
That's Janesville.
Janesville.
And so you could launch at Williamston, you could launch at Janesville, you could launch at Hamilton, Plymouth, lots of different towns.
So it's called Astoria Road?
Yes, we're about to see that, I think. Okay, Rich. There it is. Astoria Boating Access, the new ramp. Okay? Lots of interesting signs at boat ramps on the river, warning you about dioxins, selenium, and other things. Okay, Rich? These are really nice boat ramps. I read in the Wildlife magazine there are now 11 boat ramps on the Roanoke, and 10 of them have been renovated or built new, so they're really quite luxurious. Heavily loaded canoe.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
There's the lady from Inner Banks Outfitters sent me a link. If you go to Wildlife Resources, there's a really good link there that you can pull up
All
every
the
river
ramps.
and every site that they have.
Yeah, yeah, so I would encourage.
The ones around here too, not
Yeah.
just down there.
No, that's a good thing. So anybody with questions or anybody with comments, just chime in, okay? Thank you.
Can you tell that, I'm sorry, going so fast for me. What's the name of that link again?
If you go back to the last slide, it's the Fish and Wildlife North Carolina, I forget exactly.
It's the
what it is.
Wildlife Resources Commission.
Yeah.
Just Google Wildlife Resources Commission boat ramps, and you'll find it.
It's got directions, it's got pictures of them, it's really a good site.
Okay, Rich. There we go, and let's go on. Okay, we're just about to push on here. Marty, what's happening? Okay? So we're going down the river, and this was a new stretch of the river for me. I've never been on this part of the Roanoke before, and I was fascinated by how much we saw of the old culture of the river. This was a working river. It had a herring fishery that crashed a few years ago, but herring fishing was really important, and it's still got a striped bass fishery, sport fishing, that's really important to the economy down there. But you see all kinds of stuff related to how people use the river. Okay.
There's a museum in Plymouth that if you speak to the guy there, will let you in and show you all these pictures of all the herring stuff.
Yeah. This is a big river, and we were going to go in April, and the weather forecast was terrible. We were going to have headwinds going out on Friday and coming back on Sunday, and rain. And you know what? It's supposed to be fun. You know, why do that? So we found another weekend a month later in May when our platform was vacant and when the four of us could get together. And so this was May 15th, we left and we came back on May 17th. One of the things that happens down there is that the striped bass run fishing. Striped bass fishing is allowed on the Roanoke in March and April. Usually the season closes April 30th, usually. And you know, there are boat ramps apparently that become incredibly crowded. I haven't experienced that, but I kind of try to avoid the biggest rush of the striped bass season. So in May we were clear. You wouldn't want to go here in the summer, but I think you're good into May. I think our air temperature was in the mid-70s, and we were comfortable, so pretty much. Okay, Rich. Okay, that's nature, okay. All right. One part of eastern North Carolina, anywhere in eastern North Carolina you go, you see rental boats. It's just part of, these were tools, and then when they're not useful anymore, they just are there, rusting away. Okay? Rock bait. What's rock? Stripers, rockfish, stripers. So there's a shack where during the striper season, if you didn't bring enough bait, you could stop and get some. Okay? Okay? So this is a huge surprise. No, it wasn't a huge surprise, but it was a huge pleasure. I had heard once that downstream from Jamesville, there's a high bank covered with mountain laurel. I was going to look for it, but I never dreamed it would be in bloom. It was in full bloom. Look at that. And this went on for half a mile. Wow. So this is the third different place in the coastal plain where I've seen mountain laurel growing near Cypress. And one was on Camille's trip, Falling Creek, is that it? Yeah, we saw it. And in every case, what you have is a high bank that's a little outcropping of bedrock close to the surface, that makes a high bank with really great drainage facing north, because mountain laurel in the coastal plain, this is left over from a time when our climate was colder at the end of the ice age, last ice age. And so in just really special places like this, you'll see a mountain plant.
Wow.
In eastern North Carolina, I've actually seen galax, a little mountain thing, along the Kashai River near Windsor, which is even farther east than this. So they're really wonders out there. If you're interested in nature, there's a lot to look at. Okay, Rich? All right.
Yeah.
More rockfish, okay. Oh, wait, go back. There's a drum, see that drum up there to the left? A drum that you crank? We saw a couple of shacks that had those drums, and what we think they were was to crank in a net, herring net. We're not positive, but that's what we think they were. Okay. Wrecked boat. Okay. So an interesting thing about this trip is that, so on one bank we had mountain laurel on a high bank, and on the opposite bank, that's the left side here, that's a tupelo and cypress swamp. And the tupelo trees looked dead. They weren't dead, they hadn't leafed out. This was May 15th. And the tupelo trees, which are related, they're gums, black gums, they hadn't leafed out yet. I was really surprised by that. But it lets even more light into the swamp. Okay? Another shack. Okay? I had to rest. I think I went out with a lot of big surge of emotion. I was worn out. Okay? So after we went 6 miles downstream on the Roanoke, then we made our turn west into Broad Creek. So this is one of those guts that cuts across, cuts through the swamp. And when you turn like that, the scenery changes.
Did you say Broads?
Broad, yeah, Broad Creek. Okay? Oh my, I thought there were some slides. Okay, well, we found it. I think we missed a couple of slides, but this is our dock. This was 3 miles up Broad and then up some other creek that might have been called Three Sisters. And it's a little 8-foot dock, and we had 2 canoes, so it took a little while to unload, but we did it, okay?
Ginger, you might want to point out that there are little signs, so you know.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
We skipped. So when you get back in the swamp, the creeks branch a lot, and you want to find your tiny little branch. And Margie's right, there are some signs. They're very small signs, but the signs are tagged to trees, especially if you come to a fork, there'll be a tiny little sign with an arrow. So it's like, go that way. So that's how we found our way once we were in the creek. Okay? This is our home away from home. Margie has swept our deck. This
This
deck,
has to have a room.
this deck was 16 by 28. That's 450 square feet, sort of the size of a small 2-bedroom apartment. And so we had plenty of room. It's not like the chickies in the Everglades that I think are 10 by 10.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to have 6 people sleeping. So we had lots of room. And that room at the back is the privy. All of the platforms have a place where you can put a portable toilet. Some of them it's right on the platform, and others it's off the platform down a little walkway. Okay, Rich? I don't think we put our tents up, but we're resting. I'm resting.
I'm drinking beer, I was.
Right.
Okay? Tents up. And this is when, this tent, this huge tent we call the airplane hangar, because we took a canoe, we could haul that thing. If we'd been in kayaks, we would have had teeny little backpacking tents. Okay?
Oh man, that is a hangover.
So one thing about this picture that you can see, this is not dark and gloomy. You know, there's a lot of light in the swamp. These swamps have been logged heavily, and there's a lot of second growth, and so it's, you know, it's just, there's a lot of light, and it's just really pleasant in there.
I'm seeing these trees, I'm wondering if you could hang a hammock instead of a tent.
It would be tough,
Okay.
because you could hang, well, wait a minute. Deborah, did you hang a hammock?
I did, but
She carried
that
a stand.
I carried a stand.
Okay, yeah. There are these uprights along the outer edges, but you'd be exposed to falling off.
Ginger,
Yeah.
how do you secure your rain faucets down, or
What you do is, a few of the platforms have a board, a raised board around the perimeter, and that gives you something to tie to. This platform didn't. We tied our tents just to the posts, and we put up a tarp running a line from one post across to the other 16 feet and draping it.
So bring a lot of rope.
Yeah, bring tons of rope. And we had a couple of poles too. Okay? So I went out to get some water for us. We were hot and sweaty after 10 miles of paddling. So before we went to bed, we all wanted to sort of sluice ourselves off with some clean water. And back in these swamps, the water is actually cleaner than it is out in the river. The Roanoke is a brownwater river. That means it has sediment in it from the Piedmont and the mountains. Back in the swamps, the water is much more settled and kind of like a blackwater river with a lot of tannin. So we had stirred up the water near our dock, so I went out farther out with a scoop and a couple of buckets to get some shallow water. Okay? And there's our water came back. And each one of us managed to have a little shower of swamp water. Okay? And now obviously we're happy, now we're clean. All right? Margie was our cook. Oh wait, this is the next day. I think these slides are a little bit out of order, but this is a different platform. On Saturday, instead of moving on to another platform, we just wanted to relax. So we stayed there, stayed 2 nights on our platform, and on the day in between, we read books, and we paddled 1 mile over to another platform called Three Sisters, just to check it out. And so we had lunch over there. Okay, Rich? Yeah, this is an example of the type of sign that's there. It's a very small sign. Okay? All right? These, I have to apologize, these slides somehow in all our manipulations have gotten themselves out of order, but I'll just tell you that the day we left, Sunday, we paddled out, cut Cypress Creek, headed back to the Roanoke River, and this was the most beautiful part of the trip. And there were some trees that had fallen in the creek, but we could go around them, so we weren't blocked. And this was one of only 2 snakes we saw on the whole trip. And everyone thinks it's a brown water snake.
And all the times we've camped on platforms, we've never seen a snake come up on one of our platforms.
That's right. The platforms are elevated pretty high. And so I once saw a snake on a dock that was really low, but I've never seen one on the camping platforms.
How were the insects or bugs in there?
Well, you know, they weren't bad. Margie, would you like to comment on this? Oh, she left.
I would say that I always wear shorts and t-shirts, and I thought the bugs were fine, except there's a certain minute in the evening when they all come out at once, like at about 8:25, and then everybody dives in their tent, and they don't come back
And you
out.
zip up the tent. And
But the rest of the time, I was surprised. I thought the swamp was just going to be a mosquito fest, but it just
It's not. And
wasn't bad.
I didn't think they were worse than my yard at home.
They weren't bad at all there.
So they're not a tremendous number of snakes, and the bugs aren't too bad. But when you get down toward the Albemarle Sound, we camped on a platform once called Otter One, about 3 miles from the Sound, not on the Roanoke, on the Shy. And there were lots of mosquitoes and lots of snakes. So it just depends.
What time of year was that?
Same time of year.
And we went and kind of set up our chairs out by the dock, on the dock, because there was more breeze there, and then the mosquitoes didn't bother us.
Right, right. This was at the other the mosquito. Okay, Rich? Can it move?
You want to move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you get on the creek, there are these mile markers. In fact, there were these mile markers on the river, but we were so far out in the middle we couldn't see them. This is a system of the eastern part of North Carolina. There are all these mapped paddle trails, and usually they have these mile markers, which is very comforting if you're trying to find something and you know it's 10 miles in, the mile markers. Okay? That's how we knew we were getting close to our platform, okay?
Looks like you're getting close to Camille's place.
Cypress knees, okay? This is just an example of how intimate it looks back in there. Very different from the main river. Very nice. You see things like big old garfish in the water with long snouts. Cool. Okay? Right? Okay? Okay? Dinner. This is a big theme, eating and drinking. Okay? This is when we're leaving, I think. I think we've loaded up to leave. Okay. Well, these are out of order, but this is the other type of privy that's removed. This is on the boardwalk, kind of where it's off the boardwalk. So these privies have 3 walls and a half wall, which you can see. That gives you a view, and no roof. And so we had a little portable toilet with the legs folded out with a seat, and you put a bag in it. Some people just use a 5-gallon bucket. But here's the thing. There's no place to dig a cat hole in these swamps. You cannot poop in these swamps. You have to practice leave no trace and take it home. You can pee. It's considered perfectly all right to sort of pee off the side of the platform. But you have to take everything else home. So that's a logistical thing that people who camp here have to manage, and it's not that hard once you've figured it out. Okay? That's the photographer, Marty's husband, Bruce. Okay? Big platform.
We're eating and drinking.
Yeah. This is called relaxing. I mean, these 3 people, well, no, I'm in this. 3 of the 4 of us have stressful jobs. I have no job, so I'm pretty relaxed. Okay? 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 This is when we were getting ready to leave. Okay, Rich. We've taken everything off our platform, packed up, and we're out of there. Okay? 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 We're on Cut Cypress Creek, and this was the prettiest part of the whole trip to me. I think Catherine got that right. It was just beautiful. Okay? Lewis and Clark. Okay? So you see that, okay, so you see that a tree has fallen and somebody has cut it off there. All swamp trips, rivers down east, are subject to being blocked by deadfall. And there are groups that just clear them. At the Scuppernong River, the Ruritrans clear it. I don't know who clears the Black River.
Friends of Sampson County Waterways.
Friends, there you go. And I don't know who clears this, but they clear it because it's important to tourism, I think.
But we did take a little collapsible saw with us.
That's right, we did. We took a folding saw.
Which
just
we
in
didn't have to
case-
use.
Just in case we needed it. Okay? There's some beech trees there. Okay? So what happened here is we came out of Cut Cypress Creek onto the Roanoke River and paddled 4 miles down to the boat ramp where we started. And it's Sunday morning, and there's nobody much there on Friday, but on Sunday there were lots of people going out in their boats.
What's that little sort of deck-like area over the river there?
It's for fishing, I think, for bank fishing. Okay? So the reward for all that work is some junk food. So we went straight to McDonald's in Williamston, okay? Oh, there we are still paddling. Okay, Rich? And that's the last slide. So that was our trip, and it was wonderful, and I've done about 3 or 4 of these trips, and they've all been great.
How many miles did you paddle all together?
This was 20. So it was about 10 to the platform, and then the next day, like, we paddled 1, and over to the other platform, and then the last day we came out, it was probably 7 or 8, something like that. So it was perfect.
Do you have to reserve the platform?
Yes, oh, thank you for, yeah, that's on my outline, I haven't looked at since I started talking. Yes, you can't just go and plop yourself down. You need to reserve the platform. It's easy to do, you can do it online. All the information you need and the reservation system is at RoanokeRiverPartners.org. RoanokeRiverPartners.org. They also, for one of the things they have, for example, is they have GPS coordinates for each of the platforms, if that's how you like to navigate.
They have a Facebook page too.
They have,
They're
that's
very
right.
active.
That's right. And just tons of good info at the site. And you have to pay to use them, and it's not very much. I think it came up to about $12 per person a night, something like that. Well worth it. These platforms are, the oldest one is about 20 years old. The first one was built by volunteers. I actually remember when they were building it. And after that, they went with a professional because it was just too difficult. So there are 10 platforms on the lower river, 3 on the upper Roanoke, 2 on the Kashai. There's 1 on the Albemarle Sound Spruill Farm.
That's not a platform.
I mean, that's right, that's bank, that's on the bank. And there's a platform in a place called Hidden Lake in the Palmetto Pear Tree Preserve. So as far as which ones to use, the one that would be friendliest to beginners, the least hazard. I mean, the camping is the same no matter what platform you're on. What changes is the water. So for the Roanoke, that looked pretty benign, but I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who had never paddled anything. Because it's, you've got to control your boat in the wind if it blows. But the most benign stretch of water you could take brand new beginners would be the Kashai River from Windsor. The Kashai is a blackwater river that has no discernible current. You could paddle down to a platform, camp, and then paddle back to Windsor. Or you can start below the platform at this place called Sans Souci, a 2-car ferry crossing, and you could
Table ferry.
Huh?
Table ferry.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And you can paddle up to the upstream, up to the platform, and then back down like 5 miles one way. That'd be really easy for complete beginners.
And you have the Cassie, right? The Cassie River.
Kashai,
down there?
yeah.
Kashai.
And that's, to me, that's my favorite because I think it's the most beautiful. But some of them, like there are also platforms in the Chowan River, and those are subject to a lot of wind. It's big water.
Big water.
Probably another great place to take beginners would be the platforms on Bennett's Creek, upstream from Gatesville. The creek protects you from the wind. The platforms are kind of like the Taj Mahal of camping platforms, and it's only 2 or 3 miles from Gatesville up to those platforms.
Don't you reserve those through Merchant's Mill
You
Pond?
reserve them through Merchant's Mill Pond, that's right. And the other place that there are platforms being built now is on the Tarapamico River. All of these platforms are an effort to increase nature-based tourism, get people down to these counties that have really lost a lot of jobs in manufacturing and agriculture.
In one place, there's 2 platforms that are kind of together, so that if you had a big group, really big group,
Yeah,
and they're connected by walkways.
that's
so
right,
that you
Beaver
could
Lodge and Beaver Tail.
Have a whole neighborhood.
Yeah, so you could, that's right, so you could have, you could have 12 or 14 Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts on that. Those
And
2
that
platforms.
on,
That's on the Roanoke, and that's reachable from Astoria Road. What you do, Joe, is you launch at Astoria Road and paddle a 1/4 mile upstream on the Roanoke to Devil's Gut. Enter Devil's Gut, And the platforms are a mile or two up there.
I think Bennett's Creek has, like, there are three. that are
Three, that's
close
right.
enough together.
That's exactly right. Bennett's Creek is three, kind of like a clover leaf of three together. One thing you have to say about platforms is this. It's kind of intimate, camping on them with other people. So you want to be sure that you're with people that you like. Or you take earplugs or something.
No strips and earplugs.
That's right.
Don't
That's
invite
right.
friends.
I saw somebody's hand back there. Was that you?
Yeah, I think I understood this right. You were pretty much paddling downriver the whole trip.
Correct.
Even though you made a circle.
Yeah. The one place that you would paddle against the current, or could, would be in the creek. And once in April, early April, well, there's more current in the river in early April because they let out water for the striped bass. The striped bass want fast current, I think. So I did it, there was a day trip down there, and we paddled up one creek where we were paddling against about a 2.5 mile an hour current. That was like some work. But on this trip, there was no discernible current in that creek. So it was like, yeah, downstream all the time, or else no current at all. It's great. And there are probably 3 places in the lower Roanoke where you can do circles like that. 2 out of Williamston and 1 out of Janesville. Have I convinced you?
Yes.
Pretty good with some lines.
Ready to go.
Where do you get the bags and goggles for the toilet?
Okay, so REI.
Okay.
And so they're called wag bags.
Wag.
What we used were wag bags. I mean, you can do, here's what, some people do a 5-gallon bucket and kitty litter, right? In a bag, in a trash bag. That's one way to do it. I'm willing to pay the money for some real convenience. And so these wag bags work out to about $3 each. I buy them in a case of 12. And so there are 2 bags inside. One's a Ziploc bag, which is the end thing. The other is a fairly big bag that you put in your toilet. It has a powder in it that has an enzyme to break down waste. Once you've used it, you close up that bag and put it in the Ziploc bag. Close the Ziploc bag. You don't smell anything until about 4 or 5 days later. So,
When you forget to take it.
when you forget to take it out of your car, which happens to me. And it's legal.
Or you could just eat a lot of cheese.
Well, it's legal to dispose of your wag bags in the landfill. So the trash, a dumpster, or any trash pickup.
The wildlife ramp where you take out. That's a good place.
So, yes.
So if you just have kayaks, then you can't really bring a bucket, and so.
NRS sells a collapsible toilet. If you've got somebody paddling a fairly big kayak, which you could on that river, you can strap to the top.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Yeah,
seen that.
definitely.
I've seen that
Yeah.
once. We did a trip on the Lumber River where a guy on a wreck boat put a strap, the same portable toilet I have, on the back deck of his.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember that trip.
Camille actually worked out a.
Well, yeah, but that was an experiment. I decided I didn't like that experiment that one.
Okay, so. All right.
Awesome, thank you.
I hope all of you.